All right, let's talk about Anthony Richardson, who, again, is always a unique player to talk about. We can just get into it. And, I have to say, this was an all over the place game. There were some real positives in this game. There were some real negatives in this game. We're going to talk about it all. Real quick before I do, though, I will just mention that I do have a movie channel. If you like watching movies, like talking about movies, you can check that out. The link is in the description below. Jackson Kruger Movies is the title of the channel. But yeah, anyway, let's talk Anthony Richardson. Why don't we? Let's start off with some positives. This is going to be a one-on-one matchup on the outside. It's Alec Pierce running the route that you see. Richardson's going to take the snap. He says, hey, Alec Pierce, he's pretty good at those routes. Let's fire one in that direction. Unfortunately, it's not really that open. Now, the defensive back for the Colts, for the Lions is currently having his back turned towards the ball. He can't really play it. So as long as he can put the ball higher than the defensive back, like, you have a chance, but that's a tough throw this far down the field. However, you see Richardson makes that tough throw. That is a great play. He had a few throws where you're just like, man, if you only watch the highlights of this game, you're going to think this guy is an absolute superstar, and he can make superstar plays that other guys just can't make. Watch this one, which was actually incomplete, but it's more so because the receiver just stepped out of bounds. That was a great throw. That one should have been a big gain. So there were a few plays as well where things could have been better, but maybe it got called back due to a penalty, or maybe something like this happened. This play really shows his, how athletic he really is. It's going to be a designed run towards the bottom of the screen. You see this more over the middle route right here. Watch as when Richardson, fakes the handoff, he's going to scramble out, throws. Okay, you see why he wants to make this throw, but this is definitely you got to thread the needle if you're going to make this play work. But as you see, that's exactly what he does. Off balance, making a throw like that. These are high-level plays. They really are. So, it's what he can do. This is the positive. This is why he was drafted 4th overall. Even something like this. So this is a key play. It's a 4th down and 8. They're down 15 points. So really want to be able to score a touchdown here, make it a one-possession game at the end of the 3rd quarter. However, when Richardson takes the snap, there's kind of an exotic pressure. He's able to eventually get around it. Right here, it looks like he might get tackled, but, and with no one open, it makes it even tougher. But watch him get around this pressure as well. Ultimately, someone does get open, and he kind of signals how to to Downs how to he wanted him to go, and then makes the throw. They're able to convert on 4th down. So yeah, there were some tremendous plays, and I do feel like when he did get benched, kind of part of the issue was there were the negatives, but he wasn't really making as many positive plays anymore the way you're maybe expecting. We're seeing all the positives again, and that's the good thing. However, we are still seeing the negatives, and let's transition into some of those. Heading over here, just one thing you see is, you see this a lot, this has been in every Richardson game that I've covered here on this channel, is a good amount of either missed throws or miscommunications that essentially result in the same thing, result in missed throws. This play is a man coverage concept on a 2nd down and 19. Being able to gain, 7 or 8 yards here would go a long way. Gives you a chance at converting on 3rd down. Here, Richardson takes the snap. They have an over-the-middle route to Downs, which is open, and Richardson's throw is just off. This is something that happens when you watch him play, and sometimes it's something like this, which is just, to me, I'm pretty sure this is just a pure missed throw. There are some other ones. You see over here, this one is going to be a deep shot. There was some pressure for sure, but was a bit off right there. You have this one on a 3rd down and 10. It's a blitz, and that's a key part of this. I'll show this a couple times. Definitely, the numbers with Richardson against the blitz are downright horrible this season. He's really struggled, and part of it is stuff like this. He has to throw a bit off balance and just hasn't been able to hit. Again, was he expecting his receiver to run further? What was happening? I don't know. I'm not in the huddle. I can't say for sure, but this is happening way more with the Colts when Richardson is in than any other team. Like, this one was really a backbreaker. It's a heavy blitz, but the Lions screw this up. They have a player wide open for a 1st down and just aren't able to hit on it. And this is when it was still just a 1-score game midway through the 3rd quarter. That's a tough one. And there were players back there, so it wasn't like a touchdown or anything, but would have been an easy 1st down. And to me, this isn't even really a Richardson thing. I don't think. Like, he should have had his head turned around. No one was on you. You got to be aware that the ball should be coming out. That's the way I see it. I don't really put that on Richardson, but nonetheless, there are issues the Colts have to fix. And also going over here, Richardson did not get credited with any turnovers in this game, but it certainly wasn't for a lack of trying. He had some that could have really gone wrong. This play, for example, it's a 3rd and 15. You're in a tight spot. I mean, you're down 15 points with 13 minutes left, but still, I mean, it is possible to get a stop, get a touchdown, get a stop, get a touchdown, right? So you don't want to make anything worse. Here, though, I do wonder if this was, again, another miscommunication. It's hard to say for sure. Was he expecting something different? But when you look at this, the replay, I mean, this easily could have been intercepted. It's a very weird play where it gets deflected off a linebacker, which is what didn't allow Brian Branch to get that interception. Brian Branch gets clotheslined by Michael Pittman when I think Pittman was just trying to commit a penalty. He was just trying to say, let's avoid the interception. I'll take the 10-yard penalty. They'll decline it anyway. Also, that's Alec Pierce, not Michael Pittman. But then, because of how that worked, it actually ends up getting right into the chest of Carlton Davis, who just wasn't ready for it. And because of that, he wasn't able to catch it. So, kind of a crazy sequence. But the reality is, he threw it right out of Detroit Lions' defender, and it wasn't intercepted. Got away with one there. And then there were these couple of plays. So first, this is a 3rd down and 10. Again, it's a 2-score game. I'm not sure if this was by design or just what Richardson decided to do, but when this play begins, you see how he's relatively early on, although a tick later than a typical quarterback draw would be, just going to kind of put his head down and start running. I don't think this is a quarterback draw by design because they also have routes crossing over the middle shallow. Usually you don't do that on this play. You want your routes going away from the middle of the field because that's where your quarterback is running. I think Richardson just very early on in this play decides he's going to run because he sees it's man coverage, which I do kind of understand. However, here, a Lions defender, defensive lineman, gets out, actually knocks that football away. Luckily for Richardson, it kind of, got a nice bounce. It kind of went right back to him. He was able to recover his own fumble, but still, that's not a good play. You put the ball on the ground, not something you want to do. This play as well, which looks like a fumble, it isn't. It actually was a forward pass that went off of an offensive lineman, but it was still a weird play where, you're not protecting the football while getting sacked. This is something I've been criticizing him for all season, and he keeps having, putting the ball in harm's way. He has had turnovers this season by doing this. While getting sacked, it's the Carson Wentz thing. It's like you just can't help yourself. You keep wanting to say you got to learn to not do this. He's always going to do this. It's part of his game. He's going to, while getting sacked, try to make something happen. Hey, Mahomes does it, and he's made it work because he actually doesn't turn the ball over in those situations hardly at all. But for Richardson, it's just something that I feel like it gets more negatives than positives. Also, one last negative, then we'll get to a couple more positives that I wanted to talk about. So what's happening right here, it's a 3rd down and 3 situation, 10 minutes left, it's a 15-point game. So again, this 2-score game, if you can get the touchdown, you feel okay, watch what happens. Richardson's going to take the snap. Again, 3rd down and 3, you want to convert. There is pressure. What are you going to do? It's a tough spot. This part is not Richardson's fault, in my opinion. It is what it is. What is his fault is that you see him throw it to just absolutely nobody. I don't know if he was trying to throw it away and then hope that he could, make it work and not get a penalty or what there. I think what actually happened was he thought a Colts receiver was supposed to be in that area, and there was no Colts receiver in the area, but he didn't look up and see if there was a receiver in the area. Either way, it got an intentional grounding penalty. If he had thrown it away successfully, they could have considered going for it. I know it's, at your own 19-yard line, but you are down 15 in the 4th quarter, so maybe you consider it. Either way, not an ideal play. As I mentioned, I want to get into a couple more positives before we end this. I want to talk about his rushing, because the rushing is really good, and this is a big benefit to his game. They were using this early on. The Lions kind of took this away a little bit by their heavy blitzing as the game progressed, but, for example, something like this, just having a quarterback who runs, just that alone does so much good for you. So, watch this as, because you have a running back who you're not giving the ball to, he's going to go out wide, which forces a Detroit Lion defender there. And as you see, Richardson, this is so well blocked. He even kind of got there before all his blockers were there, but it doesn't matter. Able to pick up a huge gain on 3rd and 1. Really good stuff by Richardson. Really good stuff by the Colts offensive line. Everyone involved doing some nice stuff. And also this, which I like, which is just kind of this option play that you see. Usually you only see these in college, but hey, why not make it work in the NFL? And RPOs used to be a thing you only saw in college. Then they became a thing you see in the NFL. Why not do this as well? Watch as Richardson takes the snap, and then he flips it to his halfback, who's able to then pick up some yards. Nothing crazy, but That's good stuff. And those are plays that you just don't have. Again, when Joe Flacco's playing, you don't have that in your playbook. You just don't. So having Richardson be able to do that, it adds value. So there is some good stuff here with Richardson. And it's the game, right? Of can the good outweigh the bad? And in this game, I don't know. It was kind of both. Maybe it does. It's very volatile right now. But again, what I said earlier, I'll say it again here. You are at least getting positives, whereas I think during the rough stretch, you weren't even getting those. So I think it is at least a step in the right direction, which is nice to see. Playing like a very raw prospect. Who would have thought, right? That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.